Do some stretches. Do some lounges. Don't go down too far because you might can come up back, but take your time. Yes, take your time. Look at some flowers. If you don't have no flowers into your yard, go on to use your smartphone now. Go on to Google, search for some pictures of flowers. For those of you who are in the snow, like my beloved mother-in-law in the snow, she can't see much of the flowers outside because them cover with snow. Yes, you're going to look at the orchids she have at her window, some beautiful house orchids. Or you can go online, look at flowers, and they will make you feel nice. Look at birds if you're all into nature. Maybe plant something. You might say, I want me go plant. No. Plant somewhere you will see the benefits. I just picked some peppers off my pepper tree. I feel nice. I've never planted anything in my life. But my mother did help me with the plant though. I couldn't do it by myself. But it come and I got peppers off it. I felt good doing that. Alright? Other tips that might help you to fight postpartum depression: communicate, chat, talk, laugh. Even if you're laughing at yourself, they might say, oh, she's cuckoo, but you're relieving stress. And when you relieve stress, you feel so much, you feel like then when say, Lord, she talk to herself. Just don't answer, you'll be fine. Don't answer. You have to relieve how you feel. You open up to persons and find a good listener. And when you find somebody who is good at listening, capitalize on them, and then they too may be able to share an experience with you. You might think, I was all by myself. I never knew that other people were going through all of this. Fight the isolation. Don't sit down into your room or lock up in your bathroom every day, and as soon as everybody gone out, you're still locked up in the house. You don't want to bathe. You're just frightened and you're scared because the walls are talking to you and you don't know what to answer the walls and all of that. Build upon your relationship. You have a WhatsApp. If you can't, remember we're social distancing, so you can do video calls, you can WhatsApp calls, you can do all kind, you can FaceTime, you can do all kind of things. But it's very essential to form bonds and to nurture them, especially with your family. Cut back on your chores. When we're all dead and gone, as the slide says, the chores will always be there. Do the basics and don't be perturbed with what's left undone. Don't beat up on yourself. Me, if you wash out the pitney them clothes, they have other clothes that they can wear today. Leave it for another day. Don't kill yourself. And finally, rest and relax. And I don't need to explain that. Put down everything once the baby is asleep. Put down yourself. You put down the baby, put down yourself too. Go and rest. Finally, in closing, we all have a part to play. And I said it before that men get postpartum depression. And sometimes it does go unnoticed. Let's take care of each other as God would have had us do. This pandemic has taught us and me a lot of things, but the greatest message is love. Love each other and maintain humility. Start each day with love in your heart. And I stole that from Mr. Green. God bless you all. And just a reminder that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Philippians 4 verse that. And that's me. Yay. Thank you. So you can open your mics and you can tell me all you want to tell me now. Or I hand over to Mr. Green.
Right. So thank you so much for that concise and very informative presentation.
Yes, sir.
I saw Miss Collins taking notes.
I can share the presentation with her, or anyone who wants a presentation, I can do that.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Right, so trying to get some feedback. So this is the time when you can post your questions, comments, queries in the chat section, and we'll have our midwife, Mrs. Reed Hilton, answer your questions. She's open to sending the presentation, so if you need the presentation, just type your email address in the chat section. That would be great.
Yeah.
So this is not the time for you to, okay, great presentation, helpful reminders. Anybody has any stories
I
that you
I
want to share?
I have something I want to share. But
Okay.
before I ask my question, because you were talking about, you mentioned something, Mrs. Hilton, that I
Yes,
wanted to
ma'am.
expound on.
Yes, ma'am.
That men go through postpartum. But
Yes.
because when you just started and how it actually happens, you mentioned the hormone changes, the chemical imbalances,
So you want to know how that
the
affects the men?
hormones. How does the men get it? How do they get
All
it?
right. So theirs is a little bit not of the hormonal aspect, but it's more of fear. I am a new father. How on earth am I gonna do this? How do women go through this? And sometimes they feel guilty because their other half is experiencing this whacked out behavior. I caused all of this. This is all my fault. Why did I do it? So because of that, they do suffer, but as I say, men suffer in silence. Hi, Michelle. They suffer in silence, and they men them bottle up and they're macho on. Oh man, I cry, and then I cry. Yeah, Miss Agree, me see it pan you. Yes, man, I cry, and then I that. But sometimes in their own little time, they'll break down. And sometimes them have a one and two bridging who them can say a one thing to, and then we say a one thing to him, but he can't let out too much, can go say, what can I eat that thing that you have put up? So him have to pinch and go through, and he may use scenarios. Me have a friend who a go through something like this. What I advise them for do? Because a lot of time men come into my health center and they say, nurse, you know, so I have a friend. I say, no, I have a friend of you. Yeah, man, I could be a carpenter, lick the nail right on the head.
Right.
So they,
Have
you know,
some.
they they
Mhm.
they use scenarios, but they do experience it because they feel guilty that they were the ones who put their wives or their spouses through all of this. So we have to be mindful too, not to leave the men out of the whole antenatal and the postnatal period at all.
Right, awesome. Taking some more comments and queries. So we have Women of Destiny JA, which is a female empowerment group
Yeah.
from Jamaica, but they have expanded internationally. Thank you guys for joining. And from Women of Destiny, the question is, I want to ask about the treatment for males. And as a midwife who
And there's a wife
just,
who just
I'm
gave
sorry,
birth.
and as a wife who just gave birth. Oh, and as a wife who just gave birth, how do I support my partner if he's going through this?
All right, so that's a tricky one. You have to find a support, some form of support system. Um, find what works for you if it is that it is identifiable, because sometimes you can't identify it. Um, how do you support your husband when you in turn want the support yourself? You might be asking that. Me want the help, so how me go help him? Um, speak to your midwife or speak to your OBGYN. Speak to a doctor. Find a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Let me say psychologist. Because when we say psychiatrist, we go to think
Clinical.
otherwise, right?
Mhm.
So let's go with psychologist. Find somebody or a group. You might be so surprised to know when you're in your doctor's office, there may be other persons experience it. So how would I help my husband? What do I say? What do I do? Because I don't have all the answers, and neither do you. But together, we may be able to come up with a solution. So I think coming out of this, I may be developing a group, but I'll keep Mr. Green in tune, and we can work together, and we can find ways and means and channels how we can help each other. Because as recent as maybe a month ago, I went through another spate of depression. Ask me what wrong with me. I don't know. I was just crying, and the baby was a year old. I don't know. I guess the pandemic got to me. I guess everything, everyday life, your daily life sometimes gets a toll of you. And what I find happens, my husband always tell me this: you need to power down, put down the gadgets, the baby or the husband, nobody's there. You get a little 5 minutes, power down. Just lie down flat on your back and power down. Do nothing. Just power down. Just power down.
So moving to the comment section, Ketoria says great presentation, and that she actually suffered from postpartum psychosis.
And that is
And if she doesn't mind, Ketora, I would like you to open your mic and tell the group how you overcame this, because you said you suffered, hence you are no longer suffering, and because of that you are victorious. So we need to hear from you.
Hi everyone.
Hi, sweetie.
How are you?
Wonderful, my darling.
Awesome. So my daughter is now 11 years old. Thus me saying suffered. However, I ended up transferring from postpartum psychosis into chronic depression.
Oh.
So I was actually in the depression mode for a long period of time, 8 years.
Wow.
Yes. So when you touch the fact that postpartum depression is different from the psychosis endures a longer period.
Yes, it does.
And I mean, it's almost like there's a strain of activities going on with all of that, you know. I thought about the whole suicidal thing, wanting to hurt my baby, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
It was very emotional, very nerve-wracking. I wanted to just lay in my room and with dark curtains.
Yes. Yes.
You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to see your baby. You don't want to see anybody.
Yeah.
You don't want to involve in any activities. And if you are not mindful of it, it will totally destroy you, because over a period of time you don't even want to be indulged in sexual activities anymore, because you're so daunting. You just want everybody out of your space.
Yes.
One of the things that happened to me is that over the period of the psychosis,
Right.
I developed this bleeding disorder where I was bleeding for like 47 years, that type of thing, you know. And I had to be on medication trying to stop that thing, stuff and all of that stuff. So my advice is to try not to fight it on your own, because there can be signs and symptoms that you are not aware of that you can't deal with on your own. So I'd advise you to talk to a professional who could better advise you on how to deal with it, because not all of us can come out victorious, because what happened, because it's not tangible, a lot of people really don't acknowledge depression, and not just postpartum depression, like no depression at all.
Yeah.
It's usually either taboo or it's been ignored. So we just have to we just have to be mindful of the signs and try to seek professional help where necessary. And we need to understand as well that we need to support each other. The male need to be able to support the baby mothers, because
Yes.
listen, let me tell you something. Having a baby is not just having a baby, you know.
Oh no. It's a whole different can of worms.
It's a whole new ball game, man. And sometimes you have a lot going on with your body and your mental state, and people don't even understand this. So I
Yeah.
implore you to watch the signs, do your little researches before
Yeah.
and during your pregnancy so you can, if it hits, you know exactly how to deal with it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Katoria. That was a mouthful. So you see, persons are out there suffering, and sometimes they suffer in silence. In silence. Thank you
Yeah.
for that testimony, my sweetheart.
You're
Church
most welcome.
live.
We have another question. Someone is asking if psychosis, if it's similar to postpartum rape.
It is. It is. It is. Because
Can
you're now stepping out of the depressed era. You're becoming so agitated and angry that you are throwing fits and tantrums, and you're getting physical with people and even yourself. You might take yourself and throw yourself into a wall and see if that can get rid of all of your problems, but you're stepping into a different door. And I think we may have to have another session on this to follow up on all of these stuff. It's a whole lot.
definitely.
It's a whole lot.
We're about making impact in this, not just to do it because it sounds
doable.
nice or
Right.
we're about making impact. And I'm sure that there are persons who are going to hear about the session and would have wanted to be on it but can't for whatever reason. So I think that's a
Yeah.
yeah. Another question. Yeah, yeah, well, I can
I can't. So let me try. Can PPD, which is postpartum depression, affect an individual years after having the child? And how long can it affect that individual?
Um, the PPD, it can be up until all after a year. Because I said I just went through a little spate of it, maybe just a little pinch of it the other day. So it can go as far as having like maybe up to a year and 6 months. But how long can it affect you depends on how you as the person, if it right, let's, if you are able to identify that you have something is off, then you're able to get help. But if it is that you don't recognize, you just believe that from you have the baby your whole life mash up, you go just in a depression and feel say because you have the baby. So persons are going through depression and not diagnosed as having postpartum depression or long-term depression, which may end up going into psychosis. So the most important thing is to identify the depression, because when you identify something, then you are able to deal with it head on. Yes.
Right, awesome. Someone is asking if there's any advice for single mothers who may not have
The
that support.
support.
All right, so single mothers know sometimes they have friends, and you advise persons who are single, or let's say single as in just mommy and baby, or single as in living alone with the baby. The daddy may be a contributor to the child's life for financial and all of that, but socially he may not be present. I call those single parents as well, or single mothers as well, or daddy may be overseas. Yes, he's taking care of everything else financially and all of that, but physically he may not be there. They are single mothers as well. Find someone or persons who understands you, because being a single mother in itself may be a whole different stressor. So that may be pushing you further. And me alone and disappoint me. What make me alone and no me alone when make him or make she. And you ask yourself some questions where you yourself don't have the answer. And you keep thinking of yourself of not being enough. You think of yourself as not being relevant. You think of your self-esteem drops. And worse, if in some Jamaican homes, children were taught to be seen and not heard. But sometimes, if it is that they were allowed to speak respectfully, and ask questions respectfully, they would think greater of themselves, hence becoming greater adults and parents. You're not going to have a child talking back to you, no. But sometimes questions are to be asked by children, and we are the facilitators. So, a child who growing up was told to be quiet, go sit in a corner, when they become a mother or a parent, they tend to tell the children the same thing. Go sit down. Your company not the ear, so you need to go to your room. But you as a parent are suffering, hence the child, that energy is passed to the child. So sometimes you are depressed as a mommy. Yes, you are depressed. But then you in turn depress the child. So that child in her teenage years, she come up with her head hung down. She doesn't smile or she smiles. She's confident or poised or So support is very important. So when you become pregnant, it may be your only child, it may be your third child. You say, "Oh, I have done this before. I can manage," but you need support. You need support, and a lot of times persons believe that it has to be a male figure, so they go out and get into another relationship, which leads to another child, and the depression continues. But you have a pastor, you can talk to your pastor. You have a midwife in your community. You have a good friend as a doctor, or you have a teacher friend or a guidance counselor, your child's guidance counselor. You can talk to somebody. Find somebody. If you are not in Jamaica and you are otherwise and you have support groups, enroll in the support groups from pregnancy. Don't think, "Oh, I'm gonna see how this plays out. I can do this. I've got this wrapped in the bag." Don't think yourself too great. Sometimes we have to power down and ask for help.
There's another question, Mrs. Hilton. So it's saying, do you
Yes.
think that our healthcare system that we have currently now in our society, um, the person is asking if you think because it doesn't allow for males to come into the room while we're giving birth, do you think that is what impacts on them not being able to truly support the baby mothers?
I am sometimes saddened by the whole sometimes, should I taboo it, Mr. Green? I don't know if it's taboo, but
For the
men,
male side,
huh?
what aspect?
The whole male in the birthing, Jamaicans kind of put a little
I
You know what
don't
I
on
think it
it.
is?
I don't think it's that,
I,
Mrs. Hilton. Let me tell you, because the private hospitals in
you can let the
Jamaica,
man talk.
mm-mm, the man talk, mm-mm. They don't want him talk. Yes, the private hospitals, Mrs. Hilton, they
Yes,
allow it. I think it's
yes.
how our hospitals
So
are
it is
structured,
the
because when I
public
was giving
health
birth,
sector,
the
and
public
honestly,
hospitals,
it's something that I am passionate about. I
mm-hmm,
believe that if a father should see the birth of his child, he
would
will never leave
understand.
from the side of his wife or woman. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Mr.
So,
Green.
from the male perspective, and I can say this, I think for many males, they're afraid. They are
And
afraid to go
I
in.
believe that
That's
is the
right.
main
If they go,
component.
huh?
I think that's the main component, fear.
Yeah,
Afraid of what?
to go in and witness what is happening.
Oh,
They're timid, and even though
timid.
men act so macho, and
We
you'd be
timid too.
surprised.
We're
I know.
Something, because if we as men were advocating for that, I wouldn't even say advocate more, because I know the man that said, "Yo, I want to go in to see what I want, I want to look, I want to see more." And even though you have seen there are instances when some of them husbands or men who want to go in other countries and they say, yes, them pass out, man, drop down in a delivery room. Now,
True,
give my 2 kids,
true.
2 patients.
That is
Mommy and
true.
daddy gone around and want next
But
house.
so you see the respect that they'll have sometimes, boy, my wife will go through this, boy, me respect her in a man. And
I
then
believe so.
the support will be there. You know, whenever it is that I have a father coming to the clinic with their girlfriend or their wife, yeah man, me sort them out properly, man. Yeah man, they're supposed to come. They should be there. Because guess what? It's not just the wife or the woman that made the baby. I don't know if there is a thing where that can happen. I don't know if computers will be able to make babies soon. But until that time, it's a man and a woman. So I believe that the man should play an important role in this support. Because, listen, let me tell you this. Some men will want to, but you want my brethren go think, yo, me not going there, man. And sometimes when they see the whole birthing process, they may not want to touch their wives.
Right there.
They may not want to touch their wives for a little while.
You see,
For a lot of while.
Mrs. Hilton,
Right? Because they say, right, Mr. Green?
in light of what? In light of the question that was asked, because she asked about our system, and what I wanted to explain is that
Alright, so the
our
system,
system was set in a particular way because you know in our medical system, in the public hospitals, it's like 8 persons in the labor room, 10 persons
yes.
in the room. So there's no space to allow 10 different fathers to come in and witness. You understand? So if it was private, like everybody
Yes.
gets a room, I think they would have allowed it.
Yes, that is true, and I think it's something that needs to be revamped in our country because you are promoting this bonding with the family, and it starts there from the birth.
Yes.
So if it is that you know, I have seen, you know, all right, so prime example, when I was having my first child for my husband, Michael, um, I thought that it would have been easy for me to go in and push and get the baby out. However, the doctor said that won't happen because he won't come down. So I had to do a C-section. Now, when my then fiance heard that it would have been a C-section, I heard that he drove all the way from the hospital to Lottery, came out of the vehicle, sat down on a stone for a little while, then got back in the vehicle and drove back to the hospital. He must say nothing to nobody and just drive. So when he came back, he was there just in time. Luckily, my very good friend, my best friend, Lorraine Watson, she was in the operating room at the time. So she was there with me because she's a nurse. She allowed him to come in after the baby was born. He was allowed it. She allowed him to come in and see the baby in the pediatric state. He saw the baby before I did. So, but that's if you have a friend somewhere. It's not orthodox, but it's something. It helped him. He calmed down. So sometimes we have to, how do I put this? I think there needs to be a law. And if I may, are there any lawyers on here? Any lawyers? I think a bill needs to be drafted. And I think that needs to change. I think it needs to be a private moment with families where, you know, I'm a first youth, I get to see when my youth come. I feel so good. And it will change the way how the society reacts to a lot of things. The crime and violence would have cut down because they would see how a person is born. They would appreciate life a little bit more.
I think so.
Trust me.
So for the interest of time, let us just
Yes.
go through this. So,
I don't have any more time.
yeah, man. So Miss Brown said that
Oh.
her child is 7 and she is still suffering from depression. 7 years after, what would you say?
All right, so Miss Brown, I think you need to get some therapy in, but is it possible that you could contact Mr. Green and get my contact? If I'd rather not discuss that publicly, if you understand. So if Miss Brittany Brown, if my contacts could be given to her, that would be wonderful.
Right, so we just have some other comments. Persons were commenting based off the discussion that was going on.
Right.
And somebody said that it may be traumatic for them as well. I think the person is referring to us, the males.
Yeah.
Someone is in disbelief, can't believe the fathers are not allowed in the delivery room. But Mrs.
Yeah.
Stevens made a valid point. Read the space and the privacy.
Yeah.
Victoria said that men need to experience a process.
They do.
Their experience
They do. They need to.
that effect might allow them to want to experience it too, or they will add more value. I don't know. I don't understand to experience what really
to give the birth.
I don't, must be to experience.
Or they will add more value to the mother based on the information they are exposed to. So they'll show more respect. I believe that, Ketoria. I truly believe that.
I've heard that before. Somebody says yes, it's needed. The last one.
Okay. So Ketora is saying that they need to put measures in place to facilitate the fathers. She was agreeing with you initially.
Right. That's right. All right. So you see, for me, when I'm having my clinic, if the dads are present, for example, mommy is pregnant and the dads are present, I ask, I say, mommy, would you like daddy to come hear the baby's heartbeat? Because sometimes daddy don't hear the heartbeat none at all. And trust me, it is a miraculous moment. Sometimes I see tears welling up in daddy's eyes. My you that
is our
mommy help make him.
The ultrasound, hearing of the heartbeat.
Yes.
Remember, we don't have the privilege of carrying the baby at any point in time. So
at least that.
Our bonding moment.
Yes. Yes.
I think this is something that we need to explore, like really, on a social intervention. If you want,
I can be a part of that if you need me to be.
I think so. It's something that we need to look into.
Yeah.
I think
let me tell you. You see, when the men come, they normally are in their vehicles, or them out a door, or them just sometimes some of the men feel that they are dragged. Like she said, I have to come, so I come, or him never really want daddy, or me want go in the but kind of afraid that woman go look how where this a man they go, whatever. So sometimes they're a bit scared.
All right, do we have any other comments?
Somebody's agreeing with Victoria.
All right. So somebody was in agreement with what was said before. This conversation can actually start a movement. Well, I think we have put something out there in the universe. One, advocacy for males to be in provisions being made.
And for men to be a part of the whole process, not just the making process, because they have to be a part of the making process, but following through. Some men don't see it as their responsibility, or when tell her to get rid of it and she never get rid of it, so I'm in a business with her, I'm in a business with the child, and that will push mummies into different states of depression all over again, because she's gonna feel unwanted.
True.
And the whole loneliness and the sadness and all of that. So some men need to take some responsibility for their actions and step up to the plate. Just step up to the plate. I want to be there for you, even if you say, boy, and a girl that are my dreams, but you created something together. Make it work. Support.
All Alrighty. Members of the audience, do we have any other questions, comments, queries,
concerns,
criticisms? You have any?
statements.
I don't see anything else posted. So, Mrs. Hilton, maybe we should also have a conversation about depression. So that could be a part of part
Depression
two.
during pregnancy, Mrs. Hilton.
Yeah.
During
All right. So we're going to have to work on that one. But depression does, and the depression sometimes start because economic state of mothers. Boy, our next month this feed me never ready for the pregnancy year. Boy, me should have went just dash away and your name get for dash away. So you're stressed out for whole pregnancy. You're stressed out, and guess what? Sometimes when it is that they become or the patients become stressed from the pregnant state, the babies inside are stressed because you don't eat as you're supposed to eat. You don't rest as you're supposed to rest. You don't take any vitamins. Anything goes. You just lay it up to chance that okay, I'm pregnant and this pregnancy is going to come and I'm not looking forward to it. So I'm going to do everything in my power not to take care of this pregnancy with a bid that maybe you lose the pregnancy. And when it is that the pregnancy is not lost and you realize that the baby actually is born, that's a double dose of depression, all there starting all over again. So it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. Depression is a topic that we cannot exhaust, and it's something that is real, really real.
Alrighty. Let's see if we have any other comments.
Wonderful presentation.
All the nice stuff.
All good stuff.
All the nice stuff about the presentation. Thanks a lot. I am assuming that we have persons out there who would have benefited from the information that was passed on. And it is always comforting, it is always refreshing for persons to hear the stories of other people and to know that, even though consciously you know that you are not the only person, but when you hear it and you get that feeling that you're not the only one that would have gone through something.
Right. So there's some solace there.
Yeah, definitely.
Some consolation that boy, all right, if they beat this, so can I.
All right. Okay. We have one last one. Educating them could work as well to let them know that it is important to be there every step of the way. Change the dynamics of the relationships between parents. Lovely.
I believe in that. I believe in that, Miss Janelle. I totally do. So any opportunity I get, but guess what? I can't do it alone. So everyone that's on this platform needs to help me. So you see two persons, they are together, they have a pregnancy going or a young baby, encourage them. I normally sit them down, especially when they come with the babies, the mommy and daddy come with the baby for their vaccines. I sit them down and I address daddy first because man is the head of the home. So I addressed daddy and I said, Daddy, how is things going? How you're coping? How this, how that, and get them into the conversation. I don't just shoot my questions to mommy because mummies are the ones who are always coming. So when I see daddies, I utilize them, I question them, I probe, I ensure that I have them feeling comfortable and letting them know that it's okay to bring your baby to the clinic. I had a daddy a couple of years ago. His wife had twins. His girlfriend had twins, and each time it would be both of them coming with the kids. Even when the kids were big enough and could take the taxi by themselves, he never left their side. He said it's his responsibility. And he was there. He supports them. So it's not just the financial support. You want me to take care of my youth. How do you take care of your youth? Make sure so them get them thing every week. Make sure so them get whatever. Make sure so them go to prep school. Make sure so this. But are you there? Are you there?
And I think that is for another a whole different session. Women of Destiny, Miss Olivia. Yes, it is so rare to see men at clinics. With my husband, it was a requirement. So you should skip work to the clinic. Boy, I tell you, and as I said, that's the bonding moment for
Yes.
us as men. It's a part of the process.
Yes.
And definitely, this is something that we need to start putting out there and encouraging, maybe some advertisements and so forth. But
Yes.
we're using our little platforms for now.
Yes.
Nurse, definitely.
Yes, most definitely.
To skip. I never liked when my husband came to the clinic with me. He'll be talking all my business. Nurse,
I wonder why.
not taking them at the what the pills them name the pills, the iron tablets, the disgusting pills.
Matter,
Right. She's not taking them and she's drinking wine. I was like,
Oh, so he's just honest. I like your husband.
Right. So
I would
he was
love
doing
him
what he was
coming
supposed
through
to
if
do.
it were me. Wonderful. Good husband. Good support.
Alrighty.
And someone says that men are sometimes put on the back burner, and that is so true.
Sometimes the man them put themselves on the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly. I
my thing that and then match up and my thing that I woman to go deal with that.
and the macho are just covered, no macho no in
Yeah, but they hide behind the face.
and them
The face of macho.
Hiding behind the
that's it. No macho no in there.
Afraid them afraid.
Macho no in there. But we have seen all persons who have commented and we have seen that persons are very appreciative of the presentation, and guys just look forward to more informative, in-depth and current topics that we'll be addressing. Remember, this is coming from the Youth and Adolescent Policy Division, so it's Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. We are the youth part, right? The youthful division, the youth division. And I'm saying that because our approach as it relates to delivering what is needed for our population,
forming our populace.
We
take a different approach.
It's a different approach, and it is one that I think persons can relate to. And as such, I'm asking everybody to just, when you see us post, encourage persons to come on, just as though you're on now. And listen, the numbers don't lie. So the number of persons who have logged on for the past 20 minutes, the numbers are consistent. They don't drop, they just keep going up. So persons are staying on. That means you are enjoying the session. Is there an IG page? Yes. It is St. James. Let me type.
If you could type it in the chat, I think that would be beneficial.
So we are going to give you three. We're going to give you 3 pages. So our centers for Region 4 and Westmoreland. The IG it's St. James YIC and Westmoreland YIC. YIC stands for Youth Innovation Center. You can reach out to our Youth Empowerment Officer. Mrs. Collins is actually with the Hanover Youth Innovation Center. So if you need resource persons, somebody to talk to, you have a young person or a child, or age group that we cater to is 15 to 29, but reach out to us just the same. If it is not something that we deal with directly, then we do referrals.
Same for Facebook.
Same for Facebook. We have persons from SDC on the live, we have persons from Heart, NSTA, Trust on the live, from different government agencies. If it's not something that we deal with directly, then we refer. Midwife Reed Hilton is with our Health and Wellness Ministry. We have a wide cross section of persons that we interact with. You can reach out to us, but as I said, look out for our flyers. You'll see Youth Innovation Center with the St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover. Manchester, St. Elizabeth, St. Catherine,
Right across
right
the
across the
island.
island. So depending on where you're logging on from, because we have persons who are on the session all the way from
New York, we have from
we have Texas, we have
Atlanta,
New York,
New York, yeah.
possibly
Mrs.
from
Brown
Mars
from
too. We don't
Atlanta.
know. We don't know what's happening,
Yeah,
but
man. We have Toronto in the house as well.
we have Toronto in the house as well.
Yes,
See?
we do.
Right? So thank you so much again, guys, for logging on. Look out for our flyers coming up here, the number of sessions. Look out for the follow-up to this session. And
somebody from Nebraska.
Nebraska in the building. Big up yourself.
Auntie Janice is here from Nebraska. Hi, Auntie Janice.
See how many persons?
That's my cousin, but I say auntie.
Okay.
Hi, Ellie. I'm hearing the call, but I'm listening. Great presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. It has been wonderful, but we must come to a close. Yes, international, definitely. You know how we roll. You know our presentations are different. Be an ambassador for us, guys. So look out for EduFocus. Look out for VO Wellness. They're on IG, EduFocus, and VOW Wellness. So it's VO Wellness. And they are affiliates to us. We work closely with them non-profit organizations. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this lovely session. Big up for yourself and have a wonderful evening. God bless.
Thank you all for coming.
Enough love. Bye.
Bless you all.